Bro, what a way to do the JOB down at the hump, man. Uh, what I mean, what can you do, right?
Yeah, today was supposed to be a great day. We got some great news earlier in the day with Saban retiring. I thought we could carry it into some momentum for us at the basketball game, and we didn't. I'll just do some quick stats before we start talking.
Okay.
Um, Roughly even on field goals, 45% to 50, Mississippi State's 50%. Threes, they shot a little bit better, but we shot more of them. Free throws, we missed 6 free throws, 10 of 16 compared to 19 of their 27. Rebounds, assists, steals, blocks, almost all even. We actually just edged them out on steals. We had two fewer turnovers than them, and really it was stats wise it was what the score said it was. They just had a huge lead build up into halftime, and we kind of knocked it down at the second half.
Yeah, man. I really didn't think we'd even come out of that hole that we dug ourselves in going into halftime. We did one of those typical Tennessee scoring droughts that we've seen plague us not only this season but multiple times throughout Rick Barnes' tenure. I'm not putting this game on Rick Barnes by any means. Our bigs were killing us all night long. They weren't rebounding well. They weren't boxing out down low against their bigs. Their length was killing us. I don't know what Jonas Adu was doing all night, except he fouled out early. I think there was like 6 or 7 minutes left in the second half when he took a seat. Their bigs just disrupted us. The bench scoring for Mississippi State was just huge for them. I think they had their leading scorer was coming off the bench. So some positives, I guess, we saw that Tennessee can execute the full court press for most of an entire game. I think they went into full court press coming straight out of halftime, but we're running a lot of full court man going into the first half. But it was good to see Zakai Ziegler be Zakai Ziegler. He almost single-handedly won the game for us tonight. Dalton Connect, good to see him kind of circle back to where he typically should be playing and has been, minus the last 3 or 4 game stretch. When me and you went to the Tennessee North Carolina game in Chapel Hill, we saw him put on a hell of a performance there. But since then, there's not been a lot that he's produced for us. But tonight, he woke up in the second half. I think we just come up a little short. Triple J, man, a lot of he's low hanging fruit. He's sometimes an easy target. And today was one of those games that is just like, why is he even playing on the rotation tonight? He put up a lot of bad shots. Defense wasn't even there. Jordan Gainey again. I think he came up with a couple of good plays, but almost some of the typical offenders that we have that put us in bad spots. They reared their ugly heads tonight. And you're not going to win basketball games with that many turnovers against anybody. It doesn't matter if they're a good conference team or not. This team just lost to South Carolina too. So that's kind of alarming to me, right? Because me and you both know South Carolina's basketball team is a fraud. So sorry, all those Gamecock fans that might listen to this, but we know that to be true. Disappointing to say the least. We collectively, as Tennessee fans, know that Rick Barnes did a really good job of scheduling a hard non-conference slate before we got into conference play. And Adu and Tobe Awaka, they've seen better bigs than what they went up against tonight. That kid, number 1, what was his name? I don't have it in front of me. But it looked like he was cramping up through the game most of the night. But he was bullying Adu and Awaka both when he was in there in the game. And
Tolu Smith.
Yeah, Tolu Smith. Yeah, he. That's Jonas Adu's dad.
Yeah, I think we said we're not going to put it on Rick Barnes. I would like to put it on everybody 6'8" and above on Tennessee. You got to be able to get some rebounds. We had the same kind of it almost looked identical to the UNC game. Obviously,
Yep.
UNC might be a little bit better guard play than
And Baycott is a lot better than Smith too.
right. Like if you're getting cooked by Smith, you're going to get cooked by Baycott. So that's kind of I had a little bit of flashback to that game. Huge scoring drought in the first half. Especially to close it out. Kind of felt that helpless feeling of nothing's going in. But in the second half, we did get our defense turned into offense. I remember we had those steal back-to-back 3 plays, two in a row. That cut the lead from 9-3, and we kind of like hovered around being within range the whole game, tied it up. I just watched the last 2 minutes, after taking a break, and man, so close, no cigar, no big men as well. So that was disappointing to see, to say the least.
Yeah, I mean, you hit it on the head, man. Biggs, like I said, Biggs didn't show up. Our guards did. Even Vescovy, man. Like I don't know what happened there in that last sequence. We could have tied it up there when he stole the ball right there with about a minute left, and I think they called a 10-second call on us.
Right.
What are we doing? What is the referee doing? Like poor Rick Barnes, he's having an out of body experience right there with that official, and I mean, good on him. I've always been kind of critical on Coach Barnes not being more critical on the officiating. But tonight, I think he was sticking up for his guys. He was sticking up for the team and really getting on those refs. There was a lot of questionable calls. And this team of refs, I mean, it looked like they kept going back and forth on the physicality. I think they let them play a little bit tougher in the first half versus the second half, especially down low. And that's kind of what I think got Jonas Adu in foul trouble. But that doesn't excuse him just disappearing. I think the guy had 9 points. We need more than 9 points from Adu in the post. So,
yeah, and I mean, I don't think this is a game where you can blame the refs. I thought it was,
I'm not a blame the refs guy.
No, I know that. I'm just saying there are clear cut games where you can blame the refs. I wouldn't say that this is one of them. Jonas Adu 20 minutes. That's really the problem, right? I'm okay with the 9 points, but only 5 rebounds in 20 minutes. You're 7 foot. You got to do better.
Talk to me about. I agree. Talk to me about Jordan Gainey. I don't have his stat line in front of me. What did he produce for us tonight?
In 9 minutes, he had a steal.
Exactly. And I think what was he from the floor? How many shot attempts did he take?
Yeah, he's 0 for 5 from the field. He's 0 for 4 from 3. He had a steal and he had a turnover. So he had one of those infinity assist to turnover ratios that we don't like to see.
Yeah,
does not exist.
What are you doing?
Kind of scenarios, and yeah,
do you think he gets as much run as he does? And I know 9 minutes isn't a lot, I guess. Yeah, maybe I'm being a little dramatic with his minutes tonight, but overall this season, I mean, he has had some good flashes at times. But I mean, even in North Carolina, he wasn't really playing that well. I mean, he had maybe 2 or 3 good shots go in, but most of the season there's been a lot left out there to be desired from Jordan Gainey. Do you think he's getting as much run because he's a coach's son?
I think it's possible, but just for any shooter, I don't want to make excuses for these guys, but like it's hard to get into rhythm with these spurts. I think he might get 4 or 5 minutes at a time, twice a game. Seems like that's how Rick's doing it. He's competing against Triple J, Ziegler, Vescovy, Meshack, kind of for that guard positioning. So he kind of gets lost in the fog. I'd love to see, more threes go down, but I mean,
You got to keep shooting.
yeah, you got to keep shooting, and you can't let it affect the rest of your game. And I think that's Gainey. Gainey right now, he's going 0 for 4 from 3, and he's like,
He's in his head.
Defense. He's not playing. He's not playing to the best of his abilities, and it's showing on the court. As someone that played basketball, not at obviously this level, but when you see someone dejected, your eyes kind of light up on offense, right? You kind of see, man, this guy that's playing me is tilted. Like, let me go at him, and I think that's what he got cooked a couple times. Gainey did. So I think yeah, that's those are really my thoughts. I'll let you kind of give the closing statement, and I do want to touch base a little bit about what happened today with the news with Alabama.
Yeah, so final touches on the game. I think Big's got to be more physical, especially as we continue into conference play. I don't know how much you've seen of Auburn or Kentucky, but if we go out and play like we did tonight against Auburn and Kentucky, we're going to get the same result, if not worse. The only reason we were able to make this game, within single digits is because Dalton Connect and Zakai Ziegler just went off tonight. I don't see that to be the norm because we've seen Dalton struggle a lot. Zakai he's got to go see the chiropractor tomorrow because he's been carrying this team on his back for the last basically since he's been back in the rotation 100% off the ACL injury. But I would like to see more guys step up. I really had some high hopes for Jonas tonight. He's shown flashes. He's played better against better bigs than Smith from Mississippi State, and hopefully we bounce back. It's a long season. It's January 10th. I think this is still a good team. Maybe after the Ole Miss game last weekend, we were reading the news clippings a little too much, and maybe need to circle back and get over to Pratt Pavilion tomorrow. Get some of this worked out, and then get ready for the next game. So, but yeah, so you probably see me wearing my Dixieland Delight. January 10th, 2024 will probably go down for many in SEC country outside of the Alabama fans is probably a great day to celebrate the end of the tyrannical reign of one Nick Saban. For the last 17 seasons he's been in Alabama. It's all good things come to an end. So that my heart goes out to you Bama fans because I don't know who they hire to follow that guy. You think about it. Look at UCLA with John Wooden. No one could ever follow that. Even here at Tennessee, Pat Summitt. Look, I mean, no one's been able to follow her. Both the coaches that we've hired since Pat left, they both played for her. They're part of the Lady Vol family, but they've not been able to get on Pat's level. So who do you hire if you're Alabama? I'd like to get your thoughts on that, and then I'll tell you who I think they might go after.
Yeah, so I mean, just touching upon the retirement, have to give props to the guy. I know we kind of hate him as Tennessee fans, but learning about him, reading about him, hearing his interviews recently, it just seems like a guy with a singular focus, and he was able to achieve a lot, no matter how he did it, how dirty it was. He played the game his way, and you kind of got to respect the guy for it. Lifted the natty, 6 or 7 times. So respect him for that. First, I think to replace him, I'm looking at, that guy in Ole Miss, maybe Lane. That would be a good troll hire by them. I think that would be truly signaling, hey, we need your fuckboy expertise here. We need need your understanding of the portal and understanding what these young guys want. I think that's what disconnect Nick had. He really did not like the transfer portal and NIL, and that's a part of the reason why he didn't want to.
Yeah, that's something I kind of wanted to hit on too, man. I mean, you look at, obviously Nick Saban retiring today, but you can even bleed over into college basketball. Look at some of kind of the same cohort there of great coaches at blue blood programs. I know one being football, the others being basketball, where you have Coach K, Roy Williams,
Mm-hmm.
the coach from Villanova,
Jay
Jay
Wright.
Wright. I think they asked Jay Wright not too long ago on one of the ESPN games that he was covering, and they're like, "Would you go back?" And he just flat out said categorically he would never want to go back to being a head coach
Right.
because just the environment of the NIL and the transfers, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think I've even heard some coaches allude to coaching junior college, because not only do you have to recruit the high school players, but you also have to recruit the players in the transfer portal. And then, oh, by the way, you have to continue to recruit the kids that are on your team.
Mm-hmm.
Then, from year to year, you plan pieces around an individual or a certain player. And then you wind up having a guy that leaves your program after 1 year. That's really difficult to build a culture and to really, be beneficial for your team.
Yeah, I would say the two most successful coaches of recent past, like Harbaugh and Kirby, were the only ones that really got their players to not transfer. That's as much of a skill as getting the right guys from the transfer portal. So that's huge as well. You need some continuity year over year, and it's just kind of impossible to get that now. I think that there's going to be a huge void at Alabama. We kind of see like a shift now. You might say, SEC finally lost the championship after 5 years. We don't have Nick Saban. We have conference realignment. It's like just another thing that's going to happen this year in college football to make it a wild, wild West scenario. And who's at top of the SEC now? Is it the newcomer Texas?
I
That's a
don't think
weird thing
so.
to say.
I don't think so. I still think you have a lot of really good teams. Um, I'd say your top four. You look at Georgia, Ole Miss, Tennessee, and probably LSU. Right?
Mhm.
Those are probably your four teams coming into the conference. You might try to throw Texas in there, but they're still very unproven. I mean, outside of Alabama, who did they play this year?
Right.
And then they
Yeah,
got
we don't
waxed.
know. We don't
Then
know
they
how
got
they'll do.
waxed by Washington, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, we saw what happened to Washington against Michigan, right? So, I know you still got a lot of that Texas tea in your blood from living in Austin for a couple years, but don't bring that shit in here on the pod today, Naveen. Texas ain't going to be running anything in the SEC next year. You can mark that down. But I will say, it does open up a good conversation for the landscape of college football and how much parity I think now is going to exist. I mean, look, Jim Harbaugh is probably going to go to the NFL, so there's going to be a huge vacancy at Michigan. You got Nick Saban obviously retiring today, so there's two big programs that needing people. I'd say Oregon's probably going to be looking for a coach very soon. Possibly Ole Miss. I think Lane is probably the only one with the ego big enough to think that he could go and follow Nick Saban. I mean, honestly, who else? And then LSU is probably going to be a wreck because if Harbaugh leaves for the NFL, Beauregard Kelly is going to take his ass back to Michigan, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's the way I see it. And I just want to see the chaos and the domino effects. I think Tennessee and Georgia are probably two of the best positioned schools.
Mhm.
One, because they're not in any type of liability of getting their coach poach, right, from them, from other teams. And then obviously the continuity that's already been established with those two schools. With Kirby, I don't know if he's going to stick around or not. I mean, I'm hearing rumors about maybe a potential move to the NFL for him. I know Arthur Blanche with the Atlanta Falcons is, just Yeah, getting ready to throw the Brinks truck at Kirby, but that might be just a bunch of hearsay. We'll see how that shakes out. But I really like where Tennessee's sitting. I don't think Oklahoma's going to be very strong next year coming in the league, but I think it keeps it wide open.
Yeah. I think some things to look at is just looking at schedules. Like you brought the LSU into the top 4 of your like consideration. If you look at their schedule, it's pretty weak.
Only if Beauregard Kelly stays.
Yeah, him and his
If he leaves,
family.
LSU. Yeah, if he takes him and his family back,
Him and his family might have to make a decision on that. But
he's gonna lose his Cajun accent miraculously.
I think Dan Lanning at Oregon. I think that's a coach that everybody wants. I think he'll be kind of a front runner for a lot of these jobs. Maybe NFL, maybe NCAA. So I think it's a little early for NFL for him, but he's someone that definitely can fill a void, maybe at Michigan or maybe Bama. Who knows?
Sure.
But yeah, I think that's also very interesting. I think by the time we talk next later in the week, we'll have some Twitter theories to go over for sure. But yeah, this is just fresh news that we wanted to report to our fans. So that's what we're doing.
Last one for maybe a transfer. What do you think about Dabo? Do you think Dabo is going to stay at Clemson, or do you think he's going to have his name in the hat for Alabama?
So he wants Alabama. He wants the job. He wants the Alabama job. He has a higher buyout if he goes to Alabama than if he transfers to any other school. I think it's 3 times the number because Clemson kind of predicted this.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so he has a higher buyout to leave to Alabama. But I think as Alabama, you don't want Dabo. Dabo is Nick Saban 2.0, who is less adaptable. Dabo had those recruits from high school, like he had the Deshaun Watsons and he had Trevor. And after Trevor, what has happened really? Like, obviously it's only been 2 or 3 years post Trevor Lawrence, but I don't think he understands transfers as well as Saban, definitely not as well as Lane Kiffin. You might want to go elsewhere. I think obviously he wants the job. There's not a lot of people who wouldn't take the job if it was offered to them.
Mm-hmm.
But I think as if I'm playing the role of Alabama athletic coordinator or athletic president, I'm not looking for Dabo.
Okay. So if you're the AD at Alabama, you're not getting Dabo.
I'd go Lane over Dabo. Easy. Like I think that's an easy choice because he's more current. He might not have the better team or better record than Dabo overall, but I think he's more forward thinking, and I think your next hire is not your forever hire. I think
I think we all know that Lane Kiffin is not a forever for anybody.
Yeah,
let me say it. If anybody from Ole Miss will ever see this, I can promise you, just because Lane, I'm looking into the camera, so I'm locking eyes with you. Lane Kiffin has no loyalty to anybody but himself. And if you think because he's assembled that class out of the transfer portal of all these broken and misfit toys from the SEC, that he's going to be committed to Ole Miss when, basically everywhere he's been, he's either left or been run out. And he's going to run out on you guys. If Alabama is going to offer him a job, he's going to take it. And good luck to all the folks that transferred to Ole Miss. I love seeing that. You definitely get what you deserve. And I'm talking to you, Tyler Barron, specifically.
Yeah, I think it's he's a 3 to 5 year guy, if that. And then the greatest job opening of all time is fucking here. So like, why wouldn't he want to go?
Yeah,
like, it makes no sense,
right?
For him not to try.
I will say last thing on Nick Saban retiring today is I just want to mention his last game that he coached in Neyland, 52-49. That's why I had to break out the celebration hat from the last third Saturday in October game in Neyland, which we all remember from the 2022 season. And a lot of good times. I think it's going to circle back to kind of like when I was growing up, Bama just being Tennessee's doormat. It's going to be great. I hope that when we do the whole going to 8 or 9 conference games, that we keep Bama on the schedule. I want to keep Alabama on the schedule because we owe them a lot of pain and suffering.
Mm-hmm.
So I welcome that. I hope we keep them. And yeah, man, looking forward to seeing what the whole fallout is and how this really shifts kind of like the landscape holistically of college football going into 2024.
Yep. Just to close it out for our fans, we'll be back on Saturday morning. We're gonna, keep this cadence, post every week, and then kind of have a reaction to college basketball games up until the tournament. So yeah, stick with us. Locky Top forever.
There you go, man. Hey, go ahead, like and subscribe us, man. Locky Top, we're at Locky Top on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. And I think that's it for now, right? We might be doing Facebook for all of our Boomer subscribers out there. So we might give that a run and see how that goes. But hey, comment on our video. Let us know if you enjoyed it. If not, if it sucked, tell us it sucked so we can get better. Well, this is Locky Top post-game reaction. Obviously, Tennessee dropped to Mississippi State. And like Naveen said, we'll see you guys on Saturday. Thanks for listening and tuning in. We're out.
See you guys.